Alright, so here's where I'm at. Got this side on here. It's going to look good when it's all done. You can see that. I just got to hammer it straight and stuff. I'm going to remove this door edge here. And then I'm still got to make the top piece here. So what I'm going to do is take my nibbler, because my Harbor Freight, what's it called? Metal brake is just not doing its job. So, I mean, it just doesn't want to cut. It doesn't want to cut anything right now. I've tried different things with it, and you know, they're like really expensive to replace, but at least it's a bender still. So, but it doesn't break metal very well. So they are very cheap, but you need something like that. So, you know, they're like $800 to replace it now. So I'm like, for a better one or more, maybe $1,500. I don't want to spend the money on that right now. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this with a nibbler, and we'll start making stuff. Well, you know, that's not fun when I get the spot weld driller out. I don't like drilling, but there it is. Kind of clean off all the flaking rust, then I'll treat this. It's actually pretty solid metal back there. This doesn't look very good. Alright, so it makes it a whole lot easier than having to weld into this. That's just going to be a nightmare if I try and do that, but it's pretty solid, so I'll just put some treatment on there and it'll stop it for at least probably the next 30 years or so. Probably longer than the bus has ever been driven. So yeah, nothing's forever, but at least it'll slow it, it'll stop it. It'll stop it there, but I mean, it could rust somewhere else. Even the new metal can rust. People think, oh yeah, I put all new metal in, and you put all new metal in and you didn't paint anything behind and rust right through. It just all depends on how you do it. And it depends on whether you keep it inside. If you keep it inside, you'll probably be okay. So I'll treat it with this stuff here. This stuff works. There's a lot of different ones you can use. It just turns that rust black, and once it's black, it's never coming back. No, it's just this brush is pretty shot. Time for a new one. Keep having to stop to do little stuff like this, so I gotta wait for this to dry too, so I can't do any more right now. I'll have to bring you guys back in a little bit once I get everything dried out, treated like this. Let this dry really good, then I'll give it a little coat of paint. Probably more than it ever saw, actually. Well, actually they did. You can see the dip, the stuff they dipped, all this stuff when they dipped the whole bus, which you're never going to replicate that. You guys want to, they want to take them down and zinc dip them. And just so you know, this metal right here I use too is called electrogalvanized. What they do is they use a electrolysis method to put zinc on the surface, and it doesn't weld quite as good as the others, but it does resist rust a lot more. Just this stuff here, you can see that it doesn't rust. It's kind of gray looking. You can buy that, you know. Here it's kind of oiled a little bit, but you can buy it at the I buy this at the metal supply. So IMS Metal Supply is where I go mostly, and I get the remnant section. I just grab a bunch of remnants. If I can find ones with little bent corners or whatever, then I get them a little cheaper, and I use this if I can. Every once in a while I got to use cold rolled because I don't have anything else, but I try to use this on everything because it's a little bit better for rust resistance, you know, in here and all that, all those patches. It's all done with this stuff. Alright, so here's where I'm working on today. I'm just going to go ahead and, of course, it's all painted behind here. Any of the rust has been treated. There isn't any, there's rust in this area behind. But, of course, that's again been treated with stuff. Reached up in here as far as I can. Spray up in there, you know, all that stuff. Yeah, I'll spray up there with this stuff, the neutralizer. This one works okay. It's not as good as some of the others, but like I said, anything is going to make a huge difference once it's inside sealed up, and then, of course, hopefully they'll never take it on a rusty road again. Really what was happening is moisture was getting up there because this was open. So once this is all closed up and the rust treatment's in there and the paint is over that, should keep it, slow it down so much that it'll probably, you know, or stop it to where it won't come back for many, many years, way past my lifetime, I'm sure. But anyway, what I'm going to do is grind this down. I made this piece right here. Use the nibbler. course, you can see all the mess. I'm gonna pull this thing out a little while, clean this all up. Then I made this piece here, and of course I didn't quite get it right here, so I might either build up some weld right here just to kind of line this up with this part right here, because it's a little low, because this was an underlay. This piece, if you can see, it's kind of stair step there. That's going to get either a little filler piece or something. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to put on there, but I'm just kind of putting it together however I need to make it strong. Of course, everything's what is it, lap welded. Some guys say, you know, overlap weld. That's really where it came from. And then I'm going to grind this down and just clamp this sucker in here, weld it in place. And I want it underneath this one because the new panel goes on to this here. So if it's laid on top, that's not how it was done originally. And what will happen is I'll have too much stacked metal, and then my lines will be off for my dog leg. So it needs to be underneath. So this one goes underneath, then it lays on top. Then of course, when I finish everything, I'll make sure it's all seam sealed and or filler to cover it, and make sure that it is sealed up, primed, and painted, you know, real well. So that's all future stuff, but for now we'll get this welded in. Take a look at that in a minute. Alright, so here's where I'm at now. I got this side, I mean a lot of this is done here. I had to make sure that's made out of strong steel. And then all this will tie in here, up here, once I put this piece on, then I can weld that piece in. But I just put a couple of, tacks onto the hinge so that it's nice and strong. That has to be done. If you're taking apart, if you have that part on your bottom or your top that's rotten, you got to make sure it's welded in really good to the hinge right here, to the hinge support. It's actually a little thicker, so otherwise it'll be like this, that movement. So when I finally put this one in, and I weld it into that, then it'll be nice and strong. It's like I said, there's a double layer right here. There's one layer, I don't know if you can even see it, one layer. This is the door skin. Then you have the hinge support that goes all the way up to here. I guess these are for the low or high hinge doors. They kind of just modified the others. So you put all that in there, and then got all that done. So I went ahead and did some patches here. I had to make this piece. I just made this on the sheet metal bender here. Couldn't really show it because there was too many trips back and forth and stuff in the way. On a video. I had to make this patch piece. I just overlaid it. I'm just going to fill that a little bit. Of course, again, remember the seat stand mats go on top of here, so you can't see any of it. So, how perfect does it need to be? It's perfect as you want it. I'm going to leave it like that. It's fine with me. And then I just filled that little rust hole there. I'll show you what the other side looks like real quick. And then I've been working on this thing. This one here, because it's, if they're rusted past the, if it's rusted right here so that there's a piece missing, I had to remove a bunch of layers. Boy, that's fun. And then make this piece. Okay, so I made that thing, kind of does that. And then this, and then I have to weld it from underneath. which is not going to be fun. You know how cooperative that's going to be. And then I got to grind this up a little bit more, and then I think, I'm trying to look here, I think this is going to have to get butt welded right there. Right there onto this thing. I think that might be the best solution. And then there's like a weld tab that you have to either drill out the spot welds. That's the time I drill out the spot welds, guys. I do drill out spot welds when I need to. So I did drill out these because I needed that piece of metal. There's 2 layers of metal right here. Kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can get the light a little brighter. Actually, this one's going dead. You can see there's a second layer. So this is the outside layer that I'm putting on. That's this piece. And then there's an inner layer, and then there's a piece underneath. It's solid. I'm going to weld that little tab on there from underneath. Kind of need to do that when I'm outside because I just can't get under here. I'm going to have to grind this up a little higher. But anyway, that's kind of going to sum this one up. I don't know if I'll get this one in this video, because I am actually going to do the floors. I don't want to have those panel adhesive done before tonight. So that's going to be in a separate video, of course. I don't want to intermingle them too much. So this little fabrication job is up for now. Still need to make this front piece here. I'll just make a piece down here, and probably just make this one piece. Then I'll make a second piece that goes from here over. The reason being because it's a lot easier to line up with the dog leg in place for that, or you know, for the floors, because it's a little hard to figure out the actual length you need to have this to be. You would kind of guesstimate it, but it's hard to find that last little bit. So you can actually kind of pre-bend that and then finish it off with the duckbill pliers or something. That's what I usually do on that fella. So with the floors out. Sometimes I've had to repair that with the floors in, or just a patch repair, and it's a little different procedure, but still the same type of thing. You guys will get to see that a little bit later. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you make a comment. I'd love to hear those things. Saw some really good ones, and I really appreciate your guys' your support, and what you guys are saying in those comments really helps out. And it'll also help the next person who's looking to doing these types of repairs, make it a little easier to find. For some reason, you know, the YouTube algorithm suggestions or whatever make it a little hard for people to find stuff unless there's a lot of comments and a lot of watch time on there. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.